Once upon a time, many, many years ago, back when our own grandfathers were just little children, there was a doctor named Dolittle, John Dolittle, MD. And that MD wasn't just for show. It meant he was a proper doctor who knew a whole lot. He lived in a charming little town called Puddleby-on-the-Marsh. Everyone in town, from the youngest child to the oldest resident, knew him by sight. Whenever he'd stroll down the street wearing his signature high hat, you'd hear people whisper, "There goes the doctor. He's a clever man." And it wasn't just the people. The dogs and the children would joyfully run up and trail behind him. Even the crows perched in the church tower would caw and nod their heads as if to say hello. His house, right on the edge of town, was quite small. But his garden was another story. It was huge. It had a wide green lawn, stone seats perfect for a sunny afternoon, and beautiful weeping willows that draped over everything. His sister, Sarah Dolittle, took care of the housekeeping, but the garden was the doctor's own special project. You see, Dr. Dolittle was incredibly fond of animals. He didn't just like them, he absolutely adored them, and kept all sorts of pets. In the pond at the bottom of his garden, there were goldfish, but that was just the beginning. He had rabbits in the pantry, white mice living inside his piano, a squirrel tucked away in the linen closet, and even a hedgehog who had made a home in the cellar. And that's not all. He also had a cow and her calf, an old lame horse who was 25 years old, chickens, pigeons, 2 little lambs, and a whole menagerie of other animals. But his absolute favorite pets were a very special group: Dab-Dab the duck, Jip the dog, Gub-Gub the baby pig, a wise old parrot named Polynesia, and an owl called Toot-Toot. Now, his sister Sarah wasn't quite as enthusiastic. She would grumble constantly about all the animals, complaining that they made the house messy and untidy. Her frustration reached a boiling point one day when an old lady suffering from rheumatism came for a visit. The poor woman sat right down on the hedgehog, who happened to be taking a nap on the sofa. As you can imagine, she leaped up in shock and never came back to see Dr. Dolittle again. Instead, every Saturday, she would make the long 10-mile trip to Oxenthorpe just to see a different doctor. After that incident, Sarah had had enough. She confronted her brother, saying, "John Fay, how can you possibly expect sick people to come and see you when you keep all these animals in the house? What kind of respectable doctor has a parlour full of hedgehogs and mice? That's the 4th person you've driven away." Squire Jenkins and the parson both said they won't set foot in this house again, no matter how sick they get. "We are getting poorer by the day. If you keep this up, none of the best people will want you as their doctor." But the doctor just replied calmly, "But I like the animals better than the best people." "You are ridiculous," his sister huffed, and she stormed out of the room. So, as time went on, the doctor's collection of animals grew larger and larger, and, just as his sister predicted, the number of people who came to see him grew smaller and smaller. Eventually, he had almost no patients left at all. The only person who still came was the cat's meat man, who didn't mind any kind of animal one bit. Unfortunately, the cat's meat man wasn't very wealthy, and he only ever got sick once a year right around Christmas time. When he did, he would give the doctor a single sixpence for a bottle of medicine. A sixpence a year simply wasn't enough to live on, even in those days long ago. If the doctor hadn't had some money saved up in his money box, there's no telling what might have happened to him. And still, he kept getting more pets. Of course, feeding all of them cost a lot of money, and the savings in his money box started to dwindle, growing littler and littler each day. Soon, he had to make a tough decision. He sold his beautiful piano. He found a new home for the mice in a bureau drawer, but the money he got from selling the piano also began to run out. Next, he sold the nice brown suit he only wore on Sundays. He just kept on becoming poorer and poorer, and now, when he walked down the street in his high hat, the whispers were different. People would say to one another, "There goes John Dolittle, MD. Can you believe he was once the most famous doctor in the West Country? Look at him now. He has no money and his stockings are full of holes." But some things never changed. The dogs, the cats, and all the children still ran up to him. They still followed him through the town with smiles and wagging tails, just the same as they had done when he was rich. To them, he was still the wonderful Dr. Dolittle. Thank you for listening to this part of the story. If you enjoyed it, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing tales. See you next time.